So I've had a couple idiots comment on my video and say that I've lost the case. I haven't lost the case. It's still ongoing. So don't listen to these really idiotic YouTubers.
Well, that didn't age well, but this is a self-proclaimed TikTok psychic, and what she did on TikTok will change her life forever, because on November of 2022, a massive tragedy happened involving students from the University of Idaho. This became our TikTok psychic's moment to essentially ruin her own life. How? Well, by falsely accusing a professor, claiming that she had an affair with one of these students and was behind the tragedy.
I did a reading when I saw Rebecca Schofield on the history department's page on Rebecca Schofield and her connection. I also did readings on some of the other people and their connection. What came out on their reading is how they responded to the crimes and how they were feeling about it. What came out in Rebecca Schofield's reading was how she implemented it, how she planned it, and why.
Why would she do this? We still don't know, because it doesn't make sense. The only conclusion I can really think of is attention, because she claims she's a psychic and that she solves crimes. But now, in reality, the court just deemed all this to be slander, and she's essentially lost everything in court. And she was given so many outs, but refused to take any of them and continued to double down over and over again when she received a cease and desist.
Like, I have physical evidence against Rebecca Schofield that validates everything that I've said about her, but I can't speak on it now because it has to wait for court. So hopefully court doesn't take too long.
That response is just so wild because it doesn't make sense. If you really have all this evidence and you're on this mission to expose the truth, why are you not sharing it with the world? Because you're being sued either way. But then to just make things even worse for herself, she follows up with these videos when the professor actually sues her.
I've been against people, vegan, small corporations, and giants, and systemic policies and racism, and won. They all regret coming against me. All of them. Now Rebecca is going to be added to that list of regretful people. I haven't been served yet, but I'm actually gleaming with excitement. I am going to immediately start planning because I cannot wait to present my ideas in court regarding Rebecca Schofield and her role in the murder of the 4 University of Idaho students.
As the story plays out, we realize that she's all bark and zero bite. But if the situation could be even more insane, she decides to represent herself in court. Clearly, she's not a lawyer. So she was just absolutely doomed from the start. Ended up missing deadlines, which technically should have lost her the case because she didn't respond to the request of admission, which means the professor technically admitted to all the allegations. And to catch you guys up with all those, I'll have myself from the past explain those. And that is, admit that you have stated publicly that Rebecca Schofield had an affair with Kaylee. 2, admit that you have stated publicly that Rebecca Schofield was involved with what happened to the victims. 3, admit that plaintiff did not have an affair with Kaylee. My understanding is plaintiff is Rebecca Schofield here. 4, admit the plaintiff was not involved with the Kaylee and the other victims. 5, admit the only basis of your statement that plaintiff had an affair with Kaylee is your spiritual research, intuition, and instincts. So I can't believe this is a real case. You would think this is a parody, but it's real because we're reading it together here. 6, admit that the only basis of your statement the plaintiff was involved with the of all the victims is your spiritual research, intuition, and instincts. 7, admit that you've never been to Moscow, Idaho. 8, admit that you've never been to the state of Idaho. 9, admit that you're not aware of any physical evidence linking plaintiffs to the 10, admit that you're not aware of any physical evidence showing the plaintiff had an affair with Kaylee. 11, admit that you never said plaintiff communicated with Brian C. Koberger about the until Mr. Koberger was arrested on or about December 30th, 2022. So she really was just clout chasing throughout this entire thing. This is such a brain dead grift on the TikTok psychic's part, because I mean, like, when updates happened to the case, she then did like psychic readings, I guess, and then she was like, oh, she was communicating with Mr. Koberger. Okay, well, good thing you said that after they arrested the guy. 12, admit that you've never said plaintiff had access to a white Hyundai Elantra until after law enforcement publicly stated they were looking for information about a white Hyundai Elantra in relation to the on or about December 7th, 2022. 13, admit that you've never communicated with Jack. That is a messed up one because I think I covered this in the first video I ever made on this situation. So here, Jack, if I remember correctly, is one of the close friends of one of the victims. This egotistical, moronic TikTok psychic decided to make a whole story claiming that this professor somehow coerced Jack to go through with this horrific action. 14, admit that you have never communicated with Brian C. Koberger. That's the guy who's currently arrested for it, who they believe did this. But skipping through this a little bit, you have 21, admit that you have no written information showing the plaintiff ever met Jack. This is what I was talking about earlier, where she was claiming that the professor coerced Jack to do the unthinkable. It's so wild. I mean, the whole thing is just so disgusting. I'm happy the professor is about to get justice as well. 22, admit that you've never received any information orally from another human being showing that plaintiff ever met Jack. 23, admit that you received and read a cease and desist letter from Stoll Reeves LLP dated, She basically proved that by posting this video.
I'm about to put this demand letter Rebecca Schofield attorney sent me by the tissue so I can wipe my with it.
And then the next are just like admitting to receiving a whole series of cease and desists. And then 30 is admit that you became aware of the press release describing the request for admission. You continue to state that the plaintiff was involved with the... So essentially, the police put out a statement saying, hey, we have no evidence that this professor did this. So she saw that and just continued making video upon video, still claiming the professor did this. But the judge seemed to be somewhat lenient with her and let her respond late. So the TikTok psychic decided to come back on her high horse.
I think that's how y'all want me to feel about a measly ass $75,000 lawsuit that I'm going to win. Oh my God. Rebecca is suing me.
But this lawsuit quickly humbled her as she realized that she would actually have real consequences here.
I need to stop asking me about this lawsuit. It should not even have been allowed. First of all, for multiple reasons. But for the legal reason was because it's the improper venue. I'm not an Idaho resident, so I should not be sued. Then they got the nerve to not allow pro se clients to e-file. Meanwhile, so her attorneys are e-filing documents. If I want to file a document, I got to fly to Idaho or mail it in and hope they get it.
And things got so bad for her, she considered to flee the country.
I would like to go to Bali, get myself together, and just enjoy life for like a few months.
But then I guess she changed her mind, decided that she was actually going to speed run becoming a lawyer and win this case.
If you see, there's a lot of videos about the Ford University of Idaho students and who they think did it. But none of them are in court because nobody was threatened by them. I'm in court because I told the truth.
Clearly that didn't work out for her. For some reason, this woman just couldn't stop doubling down. And that came back to bite her. Hard. Because who would have known that tarot cards don't really hold up too well in court? I don't know how your decision-making skills fumble this hard, because I feel like even a 7th grader could have easily realized this is a very bad idea. But she also tried to subpoena the professor's lawyer to testify against her own client. So it's safe to say she's not really firing on all cylinders here. Oh, and I can't forget, she threatened to sue Marky and I for just covering her moronic actions.
I'm going to sue. As soon as I can get some of these other things cleared out, I am suing everybody who defamed me on this platform. YouTube, Marky, Atozy. I'm sure there's a way for them to be sued for what they've done. Everybody who defamed me is getting sued.
But here we are. The judge has made a decision. So shout out Madcaster for sending over the memorandum decision and order for this trial. And I'm happy he's feeling better because he had me worried for a minute. So here's the memorandum decision and order documents. So to go through what was confirmed to be defamation, on November 25th, 2022, the defendant, who is the TikTok psychic, Ashley, posted a TikTok video highlighting a University of Idaho policy that Rebecca Schofield was so worried about being caught violating if anyone found out about a potential relationship with Kaylee. However, considering they were broken up, there was really nothing to worry about. That's why she was worried about just losing the respect. On November 26, 2022, defendant posted a TikTok video stating that plaintiff partnered to kill the 4 University of Idaho college students. On November 28, 2022, defendant posted a TikTok video stated that I don't care what y'all say, and Rebecca Schofield killed Kaylee and all the other victims. Rebecca was the one to initiate the plan and hired another one of Kaylee's friends, Jack, who we covered earlier. On November 28, 2022, defendant posted a TikTok video rhetorically asking what KG did that plaintiff felt was so bad that she had to order the murder and the murder of the 3 other University of Idaho college students before taking a look into Rebecca Schofield and Kaylee's connection, and stating that they partied together, that plaintiff paid for KG's automobile and travel expenses, and that plaintiff makes this quick impulsive decision to have them killed, which ultimately ended up being all 4 of the University of Idaho students. This is just so insane to read. The fact that the TikTok psychic went out there and posted this with the only proof being my psychic abilities and intuition. What a selfish thing to post as well. Like, this is just insane. On December 1st, 2022, defendant posted a TikTok video stating that Rebecca Schofield isn't remorseful for ordering the murder of the 4 University of Idaho students, but instead worried about her name, her accomplishments, worried about her possessions, worried about people finding out who she really is, her real character, worried about her loss of accomplishments, worried about going to jail, losing everything that she worked so hard for, worried about corruption and treason, not worried about the lives that were taken. On December 2nd, 2022, the TikTok psychic posted a TikTok video stating that Rebecca Schofield is going to prison for the murder of the 4 University of Idaho students, whether you like it or not. What the? On November 5th, 2022, defendant posted a TikTok video stating that Rebecca Schofield was being a sugar mama to KG, giving her money. KG saw this as an opportunity to get ahead. She had limited resources, and this was an opportunity. And also, it was like an experience. All of this just sounds like an insane Wattpad story. Like, this is just spiraled so far out of control. I mean, it spiraled out of control just with the first TikTok video, but the fact that she just kept going really shows she's not firing in all cylinders. And this is before she even got sued. So, oh man. Rebecca liked KG. She made her feel young and vibrant, and it also was an opportunity for her to balance her needs for a woman. But she may have been pushing too hard because KG needed a break and some time to herself. She just needed to clear her mind. Rebecca Schofield just needed to take this time to slow down and appreciate what she has. During this time, KG looked like she was shining, successful. Other people are noticing. She may have even been shopping. But during the break, Rebecca Schofield was nervous and had anxiety, was worried about being caught, thought KG was going to backstab her. And that's when she decided to plan her. If only this was a completely fictional story, not even based on real people, that would be fine. Because if she's clearly writing fiction, why isn't she just writing it about fictional people? Why is she using a tragedy to literally clout chase? Like, this is just, it's so disgusting. She then started to look for a team. Bro, it's like the Avengers of defamation over here. On December 5th, 2022, defendant posted a TikTok video stating that plaintiff, KG's relationship would have been something like a sugar mom. Made her feel like a kid again, very youthful energy. She did something for her. She helped her balance her needs, because otherwise, that specific need that she had for a woman wasn't being taken care of. KG had limited resources. She wanted to help her friends, but she felt like, I have to help myself first before I can help anyone else. So she made a decision that she felt was right for her. So Rebecca Schofield was giving her money and offering her money, and KG was really close to MM. So she opened up to her and told her about the money that she was getting from Rebecca. But the relationship didn't get a chance to start. The money came first. KG looked at it like an experiment, but it became too much. So not only is she slandering this professor, she's also just slandering all of these victims of this tragedy. It's just... On December 13th, 2022, defendant, the TikTok psychic, posted a TikTok video including plaintiff's cease and desist letter stating that Rebecca Schofield's attorney, Wendy J. Olson, sent me a demand letter to remove TikToks with false statements. I made no false statements. Kiss my ass. And I don't have to listen to this demand letter because it's claiming that I'm making false statements. And I'm not making false statements. What I'm saying is true. If they really think I'm making false statements, they would need to file an actual legal document in federal court or in court in my county asking me to remove it. A judge would then determine if I need to remove it. That way, an investigation could be had determining the truth or falsity of these statements. She dug her own grave with this. On February 8th, 2023, defendant posted a YouTube video detailing from the beginning her narrative of the plaintiff's intimate relationship with KG and eventual involvement in the murders of the 4 University of Idaho students, including how plaintiff has pictures, videos, messages during the nights of the murder. On June 8th, 2023, a YouTube video of defendant's interviews with the online program Nerd Report was posted. There, defendant described how she uses her psychic gifts to solve mysteries, and to the end, how plaintiff orchestrated the murder of the 4 University of Idaho students, including how plaintiff connected with Kohberger on the day of the murders on a whim. See, what's really sad about this as well is like there was no mention of Kohberger until after they arrested him. So the TikTok psychic is really just freestyling a defamation case right here. On October 14th, 2023, defendant posted a YouTube video criticizing plaintiff's counsel, as well as the court, for wanting to conceal the truth about plaintiff and the 4 students' murders. There, in the context of this action, plaintiff stated that she is dealing with criminals, dealing with a murderer who ordered the execution of the 4 students, so quadruple homicide murderer, and that I am in court because I told the truth, and that person, Schofield, is threatened by me and all the things I say. So anyway, I tell the truth. Yes, I can say what I said because I was telling the truth. This is so bad. This is such a train wreck. By repeatedly accusing the plaintiff of an affair with a student, then ordering the murder of the 4 students to cover up the affair, defendant communicated information to others that was defamatory. Indeed, these statements are defamatory per se, meaning they are actionable without proof of special damages. Critically, in response, defendant does not dispute that she communicated statements about plaintiffs to others, or that these statements, if false, are defamatory. Rather, she argues, as she always has, that her statements about plaintiff's involvement with KG and the murders themselves are true. Gilliard has consistently persisted that the statements she made regarding Schofield's role of the murder of the 4 University of Idaho students are substantially true. Gilliard adamantly states that the statements that she made about plaintiff are substantially true. In other words, it is legally true that Schofield hired an unexpected hitman to commit the murders of the 4 University of Idaho students, and that it is legally true that Schofield had an affair with KG. Defendant therefore asserts that it is plaintiff's burden to prove that her statements about plaintiff on her social media postings are false, and that plaintiff has not satisfied this burden on summary judgment. So here, Ashley is claiming Schofield has not proven the statements Gilliard made about her are false. Schofield has the burden of proof and has not submitted convincing evidence that the statement Gilliard made are false. Plaintiff must prove that the alleged defamatory statements are false. Plaintiff disagrees that this is her burden to prove falsity, countering that this is the defendant's burden to prove that her statements are true. This must be such a weird case to work, because like, this is textbook insanity. You are dealing with insanity here. And clearly, it's extremely difficult to reason with insanity. And then to skip a whole bunch of pages, TLDR, they're saying, hey, TikTok psychic, you actually need proof of what you're claiming. To begin, plaintiff states there is no uncertain terms that defendant's statements are false. She was never in a romantic relationship with KG. She was not involved in the murders of the 4 University of Idaho students. She never met any of the murdered students. She never taught any of the murdered students. She did not personally know any of the murdered students, and she was in Portland, Oregon at the time of the murders. Moreover, in response to plaintiff's subpoena, the University of Idaho confirmed that there is no records of the murdered students ever being enrolled in a class taught by plaintiff. Any investigation into plaintiff having an inappropriate relationship with KG, or any investigation into plaintiff's involvement with the murders. So the TikTok psychic actually subpoenaed the school. What a mess. And for what? Where is the upside of this? Like, the University of Idaho responding to defendant's subpoena and stating they have no records of any existing deleted communications between plaintiff and murdered students, including KG or Mr. Koberger. Finally, there is no indication that plaintiff is or has ever been even remotely considered a suspect of the murders. December 27, 2022, the statement of the Moscow Police Department. At this time of the investigation, detectives do not believe the female associate professor and chair of the history department at the University of Idaho suing a TikTok user for defamation is involved with this crime. To be sure, Mr. Koberger was arrested and has been charged with the murders. This is powerful evidence at the summary judgment stage. It not only substantiates plaintiff's argument that defendant's statements about her are false, it also highlights the complete lack of any corroborating support for defendant's statements. In this way, plaintiff has sufficiently demonstrated the absence of any genuine issue of material fact relating to the falsity of defendant's statements about her. This shifts the burden to the defendant to dispute that any claim by setting forth facts showing that there are genuine issue for trial relating to whether her statements about plaintiff are actually true. In that regard, defendant may not rely on denials in the pleadings, but must also produce specific evidence through affidavits or admissionable discovery material to show that the dispute exists. Except the only support for defendant's statements about the plaintiff is the defendant's spiritual intuition into the murders using intuitive tarot card readings led her to plaintiff. This is a real court document. This is real. It's so bizarre. This must be such a wild trip to be defamed in this way and to be forced to spend a year of your life fighting an insane person in court who's claiming you've done everything that you absolutely haven't done. And every time you're like, hey, I didn't do this, where's your proof? They just go, tarot cards. I'm a psychic. I know this. And they just keep doubling down and they won't give any leeway. Like, that must be so bizarre. What an absolute nightmare. I'm surprised things took this long because it was pretty obvious from the start that Ashley's statements were defamatory. Gilliard used her claircognizant abilities to gather all the pieces to the puzzle of what happened to the 4 students and why. She became very passionate and touched by their stories as told by the intuitive tarot card readings and their social media footprint. An intuitive tarot card reading revealed that Schofield would get away with the murder. If it wasn't for Gilliard at the time, Gilliard did not know how that would happen. But she decided to continue to seek the truth regarding the murder of the 4 students and to advocate on their behalf, confirming that with discovery closed, defendant had no other evidence of plaintiff's involvement in the murders or any relationship with KG beside her tarot card readings. This is not enough to create a genuine dispute of material fact. To be admissible, defendant's lay witness testimony concerning plaintiff's alleged conduct surrounding the 4 students' murders must be rationally based on defendant's perception and helpful to the fact finder. An opinion that is rationally based on a witness perception, whereas based upon personal observation and recollection of concrete facts. TLDR, tarot cards ain't cutting it, bro. As a result, defendant's psychic intuition without more cannot establish a genuine dispute of material facts to oppose plaintiff's summary judgment efforts. Plaintiff has established a reasonable likelihood of proving by clear and convincing evidence the defendant's conduct in accusing plaintiff of an affair with a student before ordering that students and the 3 other students' murders was oppressive, fraudulent, malicious, and/or outrageous. As discussed above, those statements are defamatory as a matter of law and therefore represent the foundational set of bad acts. Further, those statements were based only on defendant's spiritual intuition about the murders. There was never any objective basis to believe that plaintiff did the things that defendant publicly and repeatedly claimed she did. And while defendant eventually took her theory about plaintiff's involvement about the murders to law enforcement, she did so only after ignoring plaintiff's cease and desist letters and going public with her claims on social media. That is crazy as well. So she's actually claiming, oh, I had to do this because I have to help the police. But she only went to the police after they served her with a cease and desist. Everything about this is just clout chasing. And it's like such a bizarre thing to clout chase for as well. Who clout chases on a tragedy? And it's not only just clout chasing of a tragedy. This is falsely accusing someone of murder to clout chase on a tragedy and making up a full-on Wattpad fanfic around the whole thing. It is textbook insanity. Defendant admitting that she received and read plaintiff's cease and desist letters and continued posting statements about plaintiff. Critically, defendant's social media's postings continued even after she learned from the Moscow Police Department that plaintiff was not a suspect in the murders, and after Mr. Koberger had been arrested for and charged with the same. Defendant admitting that she received and read the Moscow Police Department's press release and continued posting statements about plaintiff. These circumstances combined to demonstrate that defendant's social media postings were primarily self-serving, motivated by online viral attention, and made with an extremely harmful state of mind given the nature of the statements about the plaintiff. Plaintiff's motion for leave to amend complaint and add punitive damages is granted. Whether defendant actually acted with such a harmful state of mind to support an award of punitive damages is therefore a question for the jury and not a subject of this memorandum decision and order. Based on foregoing, it is hereby ordered that plaintiff's amend motion for partial summary judgment is granted on the issue of liability only, and plaintiff's motion for leave to amend a complaint and add punitive damages is granted. And we got it stamped by the judge here. So it's official. The TikTok psychic has lost her court case. The only thing we're waiting for now is for a jury to decide how much she owes Rebecca Schofield. Odds are it's going to be a sizable amount because she turned this professor's life upside down for over a year. But again, shout out to Mad Catster. If you want to see a real lawyer break all this down, you can go to his video, which I'll link right here. But at least the TikTok psychic didn't break into a fast food place and pour ice into a hot fryer like this TikTok prankster did. And you can check out that story here as well because it is absolutely insane. But other than that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.